recognized that, they adapted, they've got a new strategy.
My favorite thing about the dynamic around this duo is that some people in the community, some people, after week 1 of the qualifiers, were going, they're washed. Peterbot and Pollo, it's over. It was all Grimgate in Major 2. And then they won week 2 and then have proceeded to absolutely dominate the Cash Cups and the semifinals, grabbing a win in day 1. It is not, they were never anywhere. Like, you know, where did they go? How'd they come back? They never went anywhere. Peterbot and Pollo are here to stay.
Yo, it's
it
good,
so
Wildfire.
obvious just how
I'm streaming
a
grand finals, so I'm just watch it.
To the meta just showcases they are still one of the top contenders.
Bro, chat, who do you guys want to win,
bro? This is a tall order, but if anyone
could
David look to defend that title,
who do you guys want to win?
To back, it would be this duo. Now we kind of laid out some things to talk about here, and one of them was making the move worth it.
But these guys are just yapping right now. Peter, I know. Come on, Peterbot.
NA is now our battleground. And we wanted to kind of list out those players again, just in case someone's new, they've not seen, they just, you know,
these kids are just actually yapping.
Right? So
it's good, TJ.
Here's a list of the players that have not only come over, but have also looked to form up with some duos here in NA. We kind of wanted to start off pretty simple.
Moneymaker's not
Mongrel, Mr. Savage, and kind of ask the question: was making the move to NA worth it? And honestly, what could, you know, lead us to that conclusion of yes or no?
Nah, Peterbot's winning.
There's qualifying spots the grand
Don't
finals.
even tell me Chris will win, because we can't even win Cash Cup.
Mongrel and Mr. Savage, the biggest kind of thing that everybody is looking towards for this duo is it's going to be around one word, and that's going to be improvement. They look so good right now that everybody is pretty confident in their ability to actually qualify for the global championship. But I'm not gonna lie, listen, we gotta give a lot of credit to Mongrel himself. Let's go ahead and take a look and compare stats from last major to this major. And I'm gonna be highlighting the percentages. Look at the percent of team eliminations. In Chapter 5, Season 2, he had just 25% of his team's eliminations, right? A lot of people are saying Mr. Savage carried him. And yeah, there's actually stats that kind of back it up.
Bro, can these kids actually stop yapping and actually like, oh, shoot.
So
alright, I wasn't caught up, my bad.
An old OG joined by the new
TJ Finks.
Exciting to see how well they do.
I said your name.
Okay.
The stream was behind. Don't wonder.
Booga in particular,
but they're still yapping.
Persuasion, of course. Batman, Booga, and Rapid specifically. We hope that these guys end in the top 10, right? We would love to see them compete at the global championships. Is there anything that kind of could get in their way from making the top 10?
Batman, Booga looks so good. Why do they both look goofy?
They kind of been on the rise during this major, and with those big changes to the Slurp Cacti,
why do they look like?
A lot of people have been kind of pointing out that the Slurp Cacti, they've been actually above the Batman, Booga, and Rapid. And
yo, Streamlabs,
too convinced on that idea. If we go ahead and take a look again,
bro, Batman, Booga, and Rapid look so goofy,
so many teams to the southern side of the map, right? Kind of central, and so many teams are kind of going there. The expectation is that not so many teams are actually going to be that congested on these spots now because of the Slurp Cacti nerf, which I think for Batman, Booga, and Rapid, they were one of those teams that took advantage of that in a way that maybe they didn't even realize, right? Because they went for a bunker that was pretty much uncontested, similar to how Paper and Victor V did it. But the reason why this bunker was kind of uncontested,
I know, right?
So many teams
they both look
goofy. Well, now those
teams
aren't going to be prioritizing their Slurp Cacti. They've got to prioritize something else.
They're good at Fortnite, though.
Question mark. And then another thing that Batman, Booga, and Rapid also kind of use
that's
for their
advantage.
YouTube,
I know, right?
So many teams
I want you guys like to see the whole thing, so it's gonna be looking
weird. How did
weird.
Batman, Booga, and Rapid get their surge? Well, they went ahead and they just took straight up 2v2s. And the reason why these 2v2s were very, very good for them to take was, well, again, so many teams
like
are
stretched,
not even near them.
but
They're
the other
so
way
isolated that they can take these 2v2s and not be third party. But now,
I know Peterbot does win. I know, I got that autocorrect one time.
They're going to be unconned. We saw them be a little bit contested throughout your Cash Cups or throughout the semifinals, and it was a little bit hot and cold, but I think being unconned is great. I think there might be a little bit of
come on, I want to watch the gameplay, chat.
With more contestation, or at least
I want to
rotating
see
near them, but it's Batman, Booga, and Rapid. We actually, you know, we say, are they going to be able to do well? Are they going to be able to make the global championships? Well, they did well in the most recent global championships a year ago. They placed 14th as a relatively unknown duo. So to see them still sticking out strong,
I appreciate
together,
TJ,
and having relatively better performances as the year goes on.
Stop yapping.
Okay, all right, and of course we can't forget other duos like Batman or Booga rather, paired up with the Peterbot again. I confused myself, Vivid. Stop it. And of course Muzz and Epic Will, and we'll take more time to talk about them as the weekend goes on. Because first,
I know, I know,
just
bro.
to kind of prove a point here, this is one of the most
bro. Doesn't mean he's cheating. What's up, TSM?
Looks like a global championships, and actually, beep boop beep beep beep. I've got some stats that we can pull up here to kind of break down. Kelly, stop it. What this kind of looks like. These numbers are insane. Kelly,
for real, David.
Just put this into perspective for the viewing audience. How stacked is this grand finals?
There are.
No, is this like a yap session or like an actual like showing of the gameplay?
52 titles between those champions, and if you look to how many teams have a player that has placed at least once in the top 10. There are 31 separate duos that can claim that. And then, of course, 321 times out of these 50 duos have been in the top 10.
I don't know, Boris. If you think he's cheating, you can think he's cheating. I don't think he's cheating personally.
Lobby we have ever seen in NA. It is absolutely wild what we are about to witness. When I say that this is like a mini global championships, I mean it.
Yeah, I mean, bit of an appetizer for perhaps global championships. We've got one heck of a stacker on the plate.
I know, right, bro? Stop yapping, guys.
Let's get into it.
Oh, man, it is time, my friends. Remember, today,
finally
6 matches ahead of us. It's all about consistency and not giving up, never backing down. We've got your
Zeke, we get it with that Nick A30.
They will call the action for us. Everyone find your seats on the bus for game number 1.
Thank you, Zeke, and that's right. We are here, ready to get right into the action. What a wonderful foundation that has been set before us here for the Grand Finals.
Who are these kids?
Now,
I like the other people better.
Yeah, and I loved hearing the breakdown because, again, I really think we can't even emphasize it enough. All of these weeks of preparation by the players, and bam, overnight, no more Slurp Cacti regeneration feature, so that is bound to have a great shift over the overall atmosphere. And I'm just
guys,
really
you
excited
think
to see
these announcers are good at Fortnite?
Opted to kind of prepare over the course of the last 24 hours and see the strategies that they basically showcase in Lobby 1.
I know, bro.
Yeah, we really
What's
are
behind them,
bro?
bro?
Completely unknown territory. I think right now it's going to come back to the basics, the foundation, who has the strongest principles when it comes down to playing Fortnite. Let's see it though, because the battle bus is ready. Grand Finals game number 1 starts here and now. 2 days of amazing competitions before us here for the North American region before we crown not only a champion, but our final roster to the global championship stage taking place in person in the coming weeks. I can't wait. And we get to start off, Taco, with one of the most explosive early game contested drop spots here at the Brutal Beachhead.
It's just insane to think about the fact that, you know, Cold and Acorn, they're already good to go, and yet these teams still willing to triple contest them here at Brutal Beachhead. Typically, if it's just like, you know, one duo contesting, it's a little bit more feasible, but DK and Ian, they are certainly embarking on a challenge here today, MDF, but so far so good.
I'm back,
no
guys.
No clean eliminations from either side just yet, and there is always the possibility of that third party coming into the mix, so it's understandable why these teams are just opting
Boris,
to go for those initial
don't switch to keyboard.
outright.
Unless you're on don't switch to keyboard unless you're on PC. Don't switch to keyboard while you're on console. It's not worth it.
Let's get a little bit.
If you're on console, play claw controller.
Into the underworld,
It's way better.
You have Sprite and Day here contesting up against Npen and Pump. Npen and Pump, who, like we saw before, had a very, very sound strategy.
Okay, finally, we can finally watch it, bro.
Now they're forced to mix things up. This is going to be one of those.
Oh, you like
that
EU duos? My favorite duo is definitely.
Meanwhile, Sprite and Day have not had the strongest track record.
Peterbot.
Remember looking back.
Yeah, I remember you, obviously.
Brackets, they had a really tough time in the early game being contested against other teams. I don't know how they're going to fare up because NPen and Pump have been playing very well.
Oh,
but first, let's take a look at this quick highlight. Mixon and Blaha, the first team to fall in this tournament here today because they're, again, Taco, in a completely new drop spot.
Oh, no.
It's all about the off-spawn for Mixon and Blaha's strategy, but ultimately, these last-minute shifts, I mean, we saw them contesting last week with Quanti and Yapko did not go in their favor. Now taking their odds at the Summit's base camp one more time. A repeat circumstance, but they're not the only ones in a world of trouble. Evil.
Your notification?
Eliminated there by
Yo,
Chaos and
go.
Chance, and that's
Okay,
two quick eliminations on the board. And keep in mind,
I know you're a person behind the screen, bro. You're not slick. That's a Google image for your profile picture,
trying to establish some early surge. But
yo, ban notification.
Might still get caught out.
You're a Peterbot Glazer? You think I don't know?
About teams getting caught out,
think I don't know that, bro?
The first to get tagged here is Cold and Acorn are the healthiest in this little bit of an engagement. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of that board,
yo, why is there so much people landing
they're alongside Paco, but look at this. The
Brittle
shots
Beachhead.
come in. You gotta love the two-pronged attack here from Acorn and Cold as they pressure from the left and right. And once again, you can see Tekka down in that low ground, just lurking, listening
yo,
nearby,
ban
waiting for their
notification.
Opportunity to spring into the action. But no, everyone kind of
feels like gold rank servers.
So Paco, Vorteca won't just have
these
the
kids are like
kickoff
Unreal 100.
But Cole's gonna be the first one to head to the top of this warship, and at the same time here, MDF, if either of those teams choose to play a little bit too split or chooses to engage, that's really what Cole is trying to keep an eye out for. And sure enough,
I bet. No, you can just permaban them, just hide them from channel.
The damage that Cole is applying, and they instantly key
You're
DK
washed.
to finish the process here. That
crazy.
is a big pickup, though. Cold probably a little bit upset here that he just lost out on his elimination credit.
It's crazy that that just unfolded before I actually got to mention it, because I was just gonna say, you know,
come on, switch to Peterbot, bro.
They don't get their Elim sniped here, and you could tell that Cold was definitely wary. Like, wait a second, there's definitely that third team here. Let's not get tunnel vision. Let's look around us around the area, see if there's anyone on the outskirts. But instead, Vorteca and Paco were already on the prowl, pretty much keying up.
No way, he's camping. That is evil. Why would you do that to Vino, bruh?
And Vino, slippery
as yeah, you're getting karma for that now.
And all of a sudden, now the tables have been flipped.
I've been on
they
Fortnite
are
all
caught in
summer.
a sandwich of
shoot.
fire between both sides, and Vino is hitting his tag.
Yo,
so his clicks.
that's some karma right there. You don't do that click, you can't do that to clicks and Vino, bro.
Attacker, all of a sudden, Vino and clicks find 2 eliminations.
Was it an ambush or was it Veno's plan? No, I'm just kidding. It was clearly not intentional from Veno, but the rate at which they were able to 180 that scenario into their favor, MDF, those are the kinds of circumstances where if you are Flappy and Evan in that situation, you can't afford to miss out on the possibility of a knock there, because they knock Veno. It's a lot easier to try and
Supremo,
in the 2 versus 1,
like Supremo, they
just find themselves sitting out waiting for the next
Monaco Supremo.
Not to harp on that too much, but you don't even see Vino in.
Chris is your favorite NA player? My favorite NA player is Peterbot.
Normally they are so far apart, so love that here in the grand
I've been in your
finals.
stream a long time. I know. I've been streaming for a long time.
But let's jump into the fight on screen right now. Rigby, Mordecai, bit of a standoff, and they're actually the team that's disengaging right now.
Yo, what's up? Ducky Jordy plays Fortnite. Why did I read your whole name?
Now they're jumping in for the Noxy elimination. Meanwhile, there's a fresh duo right behind them.
Behind you, bro. Rigby just sold, bro.
Abuga and Aviv on the other side. No, it's still gonna be Crisp, just trying to hold things down. But whenever you're hovering this northern territory, things can get a little bit risky, and Noxy knows. Alongside Chris.
Guys, is this watchable? Yes or no? I know Poyo is underrated. He needs to like do more IRL stuff.
Hold these walls to ensure that his duo gets back up to a safety net range, but Mordecai, he's hurt, but he's still managing to stay up and running for the time being. Chaos and Chance, meanwhile, they're going to take this quick pause in the action to activate some of their Flowberry Fizz. Nitro Splash comes out, and it's looking like a full-on disengage. They spotted out. There's even more traction to the area, and they don't want to stick around for it. In fact, Chance getting absolutely clipped on that escape route. Noxy and Crisp as well, looking as though they want to try and close in. find that secondary elimination, but now that they're wary of a team that's just a little bit further up on that mountain face, it's going to make things even more problematic for them when they look for their escape and disengage, and they might even just look to take the challenge directly onto Noisy. He doesn't seem to really recognize the fact that Crisp and Noxy have scurried out of their box and could even be wrapping around this mountain to challenge.
Yeah, that angle was just no good for Noisy. You didn't see them slide out. And I don't even think they knew that Mordecai was in the base at that point, but Trashy and Threats.
I know, right, David?
Notable names here in
Come on, I want to see Peter.
A quick and swift elimination here in just the opening moments. Meanwhile, Cold and Acorn find their mark, and this is onto Death NYC. Just on the rotate on the outskirts here, and I couldn't even tell you.
Why did you read
how
my
this
full
all
name?
played
I don't
out
know.
because
I
they
just
are
wanted to be
deep
funny.
in the storm right now. So obviously someone overstood their welcome. Death likely coming around here to try to play.
Come on,
Death.
Dad. Do better. Cole's not that good.
Actually, just a knock.
Just kidding.
So yeah, all types of questions in store as to why Death was way out at the sandy steps without a duo mate.
He might have been looking for a reboot opportunity.
I know.
That's what
They're my favorite too. They're the goats.
And then finish. So I have no clue why he was over here.
Limit G money.
It could also just be like last minute scrap pickups, because you have to remember a lot of what Clix and Veno have been doing in past weeks is they've been staying a little bit longer than some would initially anticipate in tanking up some of those early storm ticks, because they like to go for those dead side rotates. And we saw them get their surge online really early, so if they had been lingering, that might have been the theory there for Death and Edgy. But you also have to remember that Death and Edgy, they've also gone for a little bit of a later switch up in their initial drop. They were originally contesting
where's Poyo and Peterbot? I want to see this G money kid.
In their favor during semis, they shifted to being at that split between Primo Pumps and the Dam Bridge, and that's an area that is potentially triple contested today. I know they've been dealing with Vorteca and Paco at that drop, but there's also the chance for Cirque and Havoc to be present.
They're just camping, bro. These kids are so cringe. Skittles, you're better than this, bro.
Your initial drop, you're probably just
Skittles,
looking for
you're
more
better than
probably
this.
just hoping that no one else is out that far in the storm with you. It's just very unfortunate that they happen to run into Acorn and Cold along the way.
Nice.
Yeah, and talk about teams, you know, setting up ambushes, looking for one another, storm fights. I mean,
why are they just like playing Hearthstone, bro? Just dash to zone.
Riverside underneath Chubbs and Skittles. They're gonna catch one of that here shortly.
I know, bro.
And there it is. It's actually Rapid in company. It's it. Batman Booga there who gets up to the top as well. Chubbs and Skittle have to give up their spot. This is going to give all the information away to G Money as well. And you can see what the strat was. Obviously trying to hold down that flaming boost there for the rotate. Chubbs and Skittles likely would have otherwise come up on some eliminations there onto G Money. So it does seem like G Money and Reciprocal can count their lucky stars.
Get out of storm, bro. I know you have a bunch of mechs, but you're going to get storm sickness like
for Reciprocal and G Money as well. Again, we're seeing some teams just kind of straggling a little further behind the rest. You can look even slightly south of where G Money and Reciprocal are on the mini map. There's another duo still present.
It's the basketball. It's a green FN.
It could be Sprite. And hey, I'm just, that's just, it's just
nah,
crazy
he's
to think about these teams just straggling a little bit further behind.
He's playing. Why would he not play?
When you do have access to those flaming boost tubes, part of the danger of opting to rotate with them is you never know when a team might just be camping, trying to find an easy elimination.
Well, here we have it in the coming moments.
Oh yeah, Peterbot. There he is.
Very likely a storm.
Click. Stop trying to key. Why did he change his name to that? Peterbot 874.
Have to take a fight here shortly.
Meanwhile, I love Miro. I love him too.
Champions Peterbot, Oyo, sizing up, eyeing up Veno and Clicks. They're gonna find a couple tags. No.
We banned Streamlabs.
But again, given the new meta, given the new adjustments, all of these fights,
3 goats.
Much different
Clicks,
results come at the tail end of
Mongrel,
taking a battle, trading and exchanging. If you start losing your heals come the early and mid game, you're going to be in a world of trouble if you don't finish that fight and get a refresh. That's just where we are right now. So we're seeing much more teams disengage, at least amongst the top tier, right? The top elites are not overcommitting. Then you have these other scrappy duos straight taking a fight to the lobby. Really is what we're seeing go down right here. But talking about big fights,
my top 3 is Peterbot.
Position right now, as Peterbot and Boya have been stopped on their rotate.
Yeah, and that's part of the
Pollo,
problem is that it only seems like a
last
temporary
one.
halt, but it might continue to work even further against Virgo and Shadow. We saw Peterbot and Pollo disengaging from
Batman
Meadow.
Booga.
They got some shield damage. They knew they had their tags. They wanted to just keep it moving because Peterbot and Pollo love holding players on the edge of zone, and it has been a easy to replicate cycle for them, but when they get caught out slightly themselves,
Nice.
doesn't seem like it's going to deter their mental, but Virgo and Shadow, they're now forced to essentially reconsider whether or not they want to essentially follow that same path.
Did you guys know that
Peterbot embark upon?
Peterbot is joining
Got
Exceed?
them directly
Bad
in front,
aim.
trying to get some shots, but you've got to connect. Virgo instead just going to alert Peterbot and Pollo of his exact location, and unlike his shot exchange, Peterbot is not going to miss with that Mythic Combat Assault Rifle. So, and now Virgo, Shadow potentially
That
find
kid's
themselves
like
getting held one more
10.
time.
Man, there's a big storm base there. Just a surge base looking inwards. We jump in real quick with Victor
he
V and
looks
Paper,
10.
who are coming to essentially pick up the scraps here of what's left over at the bunker, find themselves their attachments.
That's a good list.
Looking at the loadout for Victor, it's not looking the greatest here, as they are just heavily reliant on white heals, but
Looks bad. I'm pretty sure he's not bad if he
worst.
quad grands.
given the fact that Flowberry Fizz is also in hand here, might be time to
It's
actually
1 a.m.
utilize that and get a rotate going. Yamzo,
Bruh.
Jason, clicks Vino in the distance there. Two of the teams that they're going to have to cross past.
Yamzo
Instead,
and
they land on
Tayson
top off,
getting
so this is
pushed
telling us they
by
have not gotten into enough
that
action here
looks like
come the
10.
early game. They're desperate for a fight right now.
Dang,
And
elite.
this
The
is
elite
a very,
members
very
are.
interesting clash here, because you're looking at what essentially is an extremely veteran
Yeah,
duo
did you
down
know
the
that
low ground
Peterbot
here,
is
and then
joining
an up-and-coming
Exceed?
team of Paper and
Like,
Victor right now.
Pollo's
Paper
team?
obviously has that veteranship underneath him, but Victor V new to these types of, lobby settings, if you will.
The problem, though, is that Tayson and Yamzo, I know that they were under pressure, so obviously they're not going to take that opportunity to try and get off a medkit or anything like that, but I am actually curious about their white heal situation, because both Yamzo and Tayson
Which would be
looked
pretty
a little
cool.
bit worse for wear in that
Bro,
initial
Exceed has
exchange.
some
That could be part of
crazy
the reason
players now.
why Paper and Victor V felt as if that
Like,
was
what?
a
Like,
push that they could
why is
look for
everybody, like,
initially, but
leaving
things are
Agent?
definitely heating up here at the Rift Island. A handful of teams looking to try their hand at controlling the capture.
Yeah,
point
imagine
up
he
here,
gets
or
all
at the very
wins,
least
bro.
getting some much needed resources,
Imagine.
some much needed material. Source and Poppy, one of our duos,
Batman
now
Booga.
in a slight skirmish
Rapid?
with
Okay,
Batman Booga
okay.
and Rapid, but Batman Booga, Rapid, they are no fold-over duo by any means, Monster, and they look as if they're willing to take a fight, but that's only if Source and Poppy keep pressing the issue. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see Batman
Who's
Booga or
Source?
Rapid
I never
even
heard of
opt
him.
to try and look for some sort of flank maneuver, because Source and
Bro,
Poppy,
you know
they're
I
spending
have
a lot of
Victor-
time committing
Victor
towards
V friended.
this
Wanna
head-on
talk to him
battle,
friendly?
but
Oh, yeah, Victor
Batman
V
Booga and Rapid,
friended.
they
That's
also
cool.
might not need the damage.
I think this is a really cool fight. Source and Poppy.
He's
Batman
probably not
Booga,
gonna win if it's CS,
Rapid,
but like,
very, very much met their match.
yeah, P-Ron Pollo is the best
they
NA
disengaged.
duo by
Here's Acorn and
or
Colt, so
like of all time.
We
Probably.
knew that they were, clearly coming up pretty big
Ooh,
from outside the
visuals.
storm with a set of eliminations. They found another one on the way here now. Seems like the zone's going to force them to move. Visuals and Breaks don't want to stick around for too much longer.
Fuck, Boo
They've already
retired?
taken
Nah, bro.
what looks to be
Actually,
the
that's what
bulk
he
of the
said.
damage here, and likely
I'm wrapping it up.
exhausted
I'm
their
wrapping it
heals.
up after the season.
Heals aside, Visuals right now just trying to find a path. It's going to be relatively undisturbed. Sprite, though, incredibly hurt just behind. This could be a massive refresh
No, Batman
opportunity.
Booga is different
but
from regular
Sprite,
Booga.
He's hungry. You can tell. He also needs to get some damage done. Day's gonna be
Alright,
the first to fall,
that's
though, and in
majority.
exchange, Visuals does get knocked, but the trade is good. Braids hoping that he might have an opportunity to go for the revive, but at the same time, no, he's just got to bail. He does not have the HP to stick around. On top of that, he knows there's already
how
going to
many
be
people
teams
left?
based
There's
up
66
inside of the
people
edge of
left,
zone.
guys.
You can see Chubbs kind of
People are
scoping him out,
Peterbot, bro.
gauging, is this a solo? And the moment that he's recognized this one, It's probably going to draw the attention of the entire lobby with it.
Is so much worse than Peterbot now.
Rotate this entire time. And the sad part about it, they catch those 2 eliminations, which helps them beat the surge, but no heals are dropped. So Braids knew immediately, I got to get out of here. And that's just a tough spot to be in. Meanwhile, Kanata and Cooper, we were so curious as to whether or not they'd be able to come up with a strong Storm Surge strategy.
Cooper's
and
down.
You can see that they didn't quite make one,
traded.
right? They're trying to box fight right now in the mid game, which tells us that they did not get enough early game tags. Their towers either didn't reveal to them enough, you know, teams to take a fight, or it just wasn't enough activity.
Kanata. Come on.
We're gonna see Kanata and Cooper face the, you know, the other side of the coin, if you will. When big adjustments happen right during this huge event right here. So now for Raze and Curly, the Raze has to play for the pickup. Wow. Agers just comes in and clutches up on behalf of his duo. So tough turn of events here. I don't even know if Agers is going to be able to make it out the zone. It's going to be super close. Look, it's moving right now, and he's right behind Dash and Seek.
Yeah, but the moment they look back for even a split second, it takes one tag, and then Agers is just doomed. He does have 2 bottles of Flowberry Fizz to work with, so that'll at least be a saving grace for the time being.
Agers.
He has to stay ahead of this storm. He can't afford to take any excessive tick damage when he's already just so low on his HP as is. Other teams bound to spot him out as a solo as well. Curly and Raze, they might have just sabotaged all 3 teams in the process. Almost wonder what would have happened.
Yo, thank you for the sub. Whoever subbed.
Between Ryze and Agers, Hooper and Kanata. Instead, now all 3 of those teams not looking to be set in a position where they're going to be able to play out a successful late game.
Look at this extremely clever rotate from Bugha and Aviv.
Hold on.
Rotate once the pressure started to build up. That's a call that you only make by being exposed to lobby focus in the past.
Yo, thank you for the sub.
Years in the FNCS lobby.
Hey, hold on.
Decision to get out of there before things
there you go.
took a turn for the worse, before the material counts really
Thank you, bro.
It's
not lag, I just
Ritual's HP chunk away, but it does seem like you managed to pop a Nuka-Cola or something to stay in the game right here. But look at this, Paco, Vorteca. This is the same spot Bugha and company were.
Are you guys
just
entertained?
So
Hold on. Oh, I paused.
Surprised me, other teams are shooting in. All these teams right here seem to be very much aggressive.
Peterbot's winning, I know.
Agers, though, still lingering as a solo on that low ground, just kind of hoping that all these duos surrounding him choose to get a move on.
Come on,
Maybe
Peter.
He just continues trailing ever so slightly
Bro,
behind.
time is like flying, bro. It's already 7th zone.
He might manage to go unnoticed for a few placements longer. That's really all that this is about at this point when you are left in that kind of solo position. But Re and Ritual, ample amounts of crash pads to work with, and granted, the lack of
lag, it's probably you lagging because I'm watching my stream on my phone. It's not lagging.
Up this mountain face, and this is where the shifts in elevation could really pose
I'm reading my chat on my phone, so I have to watch my stream on my phone. But I'm watching FNCS on my computer.
Manages to stay on pace with this duo.
If it's lagging, just skip, like, make sure it's like
the bottom of this mountain
caught up live all the way.
By them, though. They're going and move
Where's
nice
Peterbot?
We saw every team we saw moving right away. They moved as soon as the zone revealed itself. This is, again, experience.
Oh, Batman Bugha killed Ree. Alright,
there is a real danger in staying on the low ground here, moving with everyone else, and allowing teams to get situated, find those quirky angles, look down. Meanwhile, Tayson in the box fight here, doing exactly what he does best alongside Yamza, and that's finding damage, finding tags, but they have a lot of attention coming in on them.
I've been here
Teams
since
are seeing
8K.
opportunity here open up, and no heals produced by those eliminations.
Yo, somebody likes you can get 10 likes.
To work on what little bit that they have right there, so that's their first eliminations right there. Really picking up to get to see from a different perspective.
Yamza are doing pretty good.
Oh my! This one off. That started this whole thing.
They're just going crazy.
Nerd face, man. You've just got 2 players, Nitro shoulder bashing.
Oh,
your
it's
wall.
Kwani by himself.
I mean, most of the time, you don't even really
Is
get
he
an
on full
opportunity to
height?
react, as we just saw. But Quanti and Yapko, they are.
Oh no, he's not by himself. So
currently, granted, this is super early, MDF. I don't really expect them to invest too much of their material in tarping outwards, trying to hold height from this position, especially with the way the zone is
Back
pulled.
on
But
15 minutes.
that option for the launch pad, they can go for a slightly later rotate than some of these other teams, and I think remain unseen as well, since they'll
Where's
be
Peterbot,
that
bro?
much higher above the rest of the lobby.
Did Peter die?
And Japco, like you said, being up here is just peak position.
Chad, did Peter die?
Literally. Very, very good spot to be in. Vino and Clicks, highly elevated as well. Again, this is the result, though, of having Flowberry Fizz late in the game. A few teams we saw rotating did not have that luxury. Bugha and Aviv being one of them. Meanwhile, on the outskirts,
Juan
Tayson
Peter?
falls, Threats falls.
Where you
That
at? Did
was
you die?
far outside the zone, so unfortunately could
Peterbot,
not find their
bro.
footing in time. Aegis makes a top 20, though. You got to respect that. Being solo, earning them placement points is how desperate and worse for where's he was. But look at this. Quanti and Japco end up utilizing that launch pad that, of course, is positioned right up top of the place that they just were, and then find themselves new positioning here.
Come on,
for
bro.
the next rotate.
Where is he?
I don't think anybody even recognizes the fact that these two are just all by their lonesome currently, just trying to rebuild.
Chat, where is
Opt
Peter?
for another crash pad movement set, and
I think he died.
joining
I think Peter and
everyone
Pollo
else that's
died.
moving towards this next front side of zone. They want to try and stake their position towards that low ground on the front side, but
dude.
they're gonna have company building up rather quickly here. So wouldn't be surprised to see them opt for a layer switch in the near future, but for right now, it's all about Cold and Acorn. They've got a mid-ground position. They've taken note, though, of Victor V inside of his box, immediately sent to scatter. Victor V barely managing to cling on, and there was just so much pressure being applied to his box. The moment that he drops trying to escape, he gets knocked by a separate duo in the lobby. It's going to be Bryce credited for that one, but Cold, Acorn, they've taken their opportunity. They saw all those duos dropping to the low ground, so they're opting to crank up instead.
They still have next game, though.
Notice what all these teams have in common. They all switched to metal the moment they landed in these completely foreign layers, right? And that just kind of shows you how wary every team is right now. So unpredictable when you have such a big rotate, a big elevation change like that. But Acorn and Cold are going to be the first to go ahead and claim for high ground. And this is honestly pretty early. This is a very early high ground. Now, again, granted, they kind of just landed here. I don't expect them to,
still alive?
You know, do too much with this, given that, yeah, look, they're barely even held up, and they're just going to have to fight here to see if they can find a refresher. It's going to be Noxie and Chris, hurt team right here. So singling out Noxie on the backside. Chris comes around to his
run in like that, Cold.
But no, Cold gets traded out there, not before getting the exchange. Acorn has to hit this shot. Almost caught with his pickaxe out for a second there. Forced to go into a medkit, and there are so many medkits there. Meanwhile, Bugha and Aviv timed it much better. Wait for the opportunity, assess the situation, and now go for height. And they come up here, what looks to be off the backs of a refresher. They actually have hard mats to go ahead and solidify this. This could be a Bugha and Aviv game 1 win right now, as it's going back up and over the mountain.
Discord server.
Epic will have to be extremely careful here.
Link is
you can
in
see
my
they're running out of
tab.
space to actually work with.
All things considered, though, when you think about how semis went for Muzz and Epic, this is a welcome effort here in lobby number 1 from this dynamic duo. Epic
on height.
And Muzz, though, might get a little bit caught out. Veno, though, gonna lose clicks, has to make this rotate by himself.
They're
Tries
dead.
to get tagged in onto Sphinx, but he's gonna get blocked off by the wall instead. Veno, a victim of the lobby now. Shadow instantly returned fired upon, and it's all down to Virgo to keep clutching out this run.
Still, every team we see alive right now are teams to look out for. We are inside the top 10 of an FNCS Grand Finals kickoff game. Sphinx and Tony also alive down the low ground, but on height.
Yeah, he's not alive.
So much room.
Oh my, is Bugha about to win the first game?
And the pressure is coming down, and honestly, Aviv has positioned himself on ultimate height, just a layer above that.
Wait,
the tag from Aviv, really putting on the flex here, showcasing 7 eliminations now. What a position to be in
Muzz
here.
Is doing
Meanwhile,
good,
the low ground, everyone continuing to fight here. Muzz just getting to work, finding his 4th elimination and a top 3 now. And Quanti and Japco focus their efforts to high ground. This is perfect for Muzz down low ground.
But the problem right now, Yapko, he has exactly 0 builds left. He's trying to hope for a top opportunity, but he still has to worry about this solo underneath him. It's Muzz. Yeah. Muzz trying to go for the even exchange, scrambling around the bottom, but he's going to find himself with a 3rd place finish. And now, Bugha dropping from above, an eagle from his perch, waiting for the right moment to strike. Bugha and Aviv, we saw when they overtook Hyatt MDF, and the world of difference was just that material count, that timing. It was impeccable.
Yeah, it looked like they found the perfect refresh opportunity as the layers started to change, and then they sniped high ground directly from underneath all the teams that were fighting in those mid-ground layers. That was a perfect game for Bugha and Aviv. They came into this end game already in a successful position. They had a ton of eliminations, but the fact that they managed to clean up most of what was left, especially right here in the low ground, they secure all of these points to themselves, which is perfect. And you can see Yapko just caught in a world of trouble there. But still, a 2nd place for those teams is very, very well. That's a lot of points there, Taco.
Yeah, it's definitely a really strong opener, but man, Aviv from the high ground with that mythic hand cannon, absolutely disgusting work. Excited to see what happens next, but we'll have more FNCS Grand Finals action right after this short break.
A short break? Really, bro? Chat, I can't wait to watch Global Land, bro. Bugha could win FNCS, but come on, Peter. Show me leaderboard, bruh. Are they showing us? They're showing us the semifinals. I want to see, bro. Oh, I want to see the leaderboard, bro. No way people are still in TSM. That's crazy. Big T the V. Pro. You might go to goals. Yo, that'd be so cool, bro. I really want to go. Bro, I want to see leaderboard. Still champs? Nope, I dropped down because I was getting so unlucky. I'm elite again, bro. But at least I got that video out, you know. I don't even care, bro. I'm good enough to be Unreal, like 100%. I'm like way good enough to be Unreal. Just like these kids play so weird. Okay, laser. Alright. Do you guys like that I post long form videos instead of shorts now? Alright.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the FNCS game number 1 of Grand Finals. And man, does it kick off crazy. We had just a wild game with Bugha and Aviv going crazy, picking up just the first victory royale of the day with 9 eliminations against Quanti and Yapko. But to start kind of game number 1, Vivid, and to have your World Cup champion paired up with Aviv come out and get game number 1, we are in for a treat this weekend.
Listen, you know, there are seasons where a lot of people kind of don't include Bugha in the conversation, and he always just pulls something out, right? It's always like the grand finals come around and Bugha just boom, activated. Big cheese Aviv on the higher ground, hitting some amazing shots. But this is just a classic zone, right? Bugha's been in this situation many a times, messing around with the higher ground over by these mountain zones, but it is important to kind of throw out here, right? Bugha and Aviv, of course, landing up north, this zone point fairly north right now, so kind of advantageous for them in that regard, but still wonderful game played by them. Surprised to see them on high, honestly.
Yeah, it definitely was advantageous for them throughout the whole game. By zone 6, they already had 4 eliminations while all the other teams are slowly starting to rotate in. And Bugha and Aviv just taking the perfect time to take height there, holding it a little too high for a little long, but clearly that didn't affect them in any way. However, I do have to give a shout out to Muzz, who seemed to be doing quite the work for Bugha and Aviv on the low ground against Quanti and Yapko. I felt like Muzz was able to kind of hold his own and end up getting a 3rd place in that game. So, I mean, it's Muzz, it's epic whale. I think that there was a lot of kind of questions on how they were going to be performing this weekend, and getting a 3rd place in game 1 is a great way to start your run.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right? I can tell you right now, right? I saw Muzz chatting up in the Aussie stream, and he was literally talking about how, you know, he saw that kind of slurp cacti nerf come in, and Muzz was so happy, right? So clearly,
yo, thank you for the sub.
Plan, right? Kind of leans into that. They're happy about that. And as you can see,
I don't know why it won't show. It only shows half.
Kind of mention this is a North Point zone.
Thank you for the sub.
Muzz and all these other like northern teams kind of adapt, and it's not so Northern Point zone, but yeah, I mean, Muzz and Epic Well, very, very hard to kind of count them out in these types of games.
Yo,
I mean, 6X, the 3X in their names.
Rough.
They're FNCS titles.
Muzz
they mean something,
rough.
right? We're going to see these guys in grand finals. We're going to see them in the end games.
Yeah, they're really looking to set a tone for the weekend, right? Let's take it to the standings. I want to kind of see how things are starting to shape up after just game number 1. Remember, we have 6 today, 6 tomorrow for a grand total of 12, so nobody panic.
Bro,
everything's
Peter's
chill.
not even on top
points
10.
on Aviv and over on Bugha with the first victory royale of
Peter.
the day. I did want to highlight Yapko and Quanti there. They did
Peter
manage to find
grounded,
the 2nd place
He's
finish
selling.
there with 7 eliminations as well. At one point, we kind of tuned in with them, right? They were sitting on top of that mountain. And then they're like, okay, we got to try and hold down the high ground. A few little change of hands there, but still 2nd place from the duo. That's momentum.
Yeah,
you seriously got to tip your hat to that position that you're kind of mentioning, Zeke, right? Like being posted up on top of a mountain that has that jump pad, they land all the way to the southeast corner of the map, right? Like I was imagining no south teams kind of do well over top of mountainous zone that pulls up north like that, but they actually had one of the best positions in the game. So whoever made that call, very, very good call. And then they kind of just played their game throughout. 2nd place, huge for the duo.
Yeah, they did a good job transitioning from having that height on top of the mountain and then rotating that kind of into like a middle ground hold, and using the static launch pad to rotate over all the way onto dead side to kind of get an understanding of where the rest of the lobby was going to be. Definitely helped pad out their end game there. But speaking of padding out, we have our list right here. Aviv and Bugha, 101 points to start things off. Of course, Yapko and Quanti in 2nd place, and Bryce and Bolts in 3rd.
Yeah, they look to have a strong performance right out the gate, right? Again, Bolt's a previous champion as well. I mean, just look at this, just top 10, right? Just a wild list of players. I mean, we even saw Clicks there for a moment, and Veno in 10th place. Acorn and Cole for a moment had height there in 10th moving, and like the moment you see them on height, Vivid, we kind of both had the same reaction. Ooh, them on height?
I mean, yeah, it's seriously awesome, right? We did see that they were contested. It's only going to be by 1 team. I say, you know, only, still kind of a disadvantage in that regard. But the fact that they kind of made it all spawn means that we can maybe look towards that UI a little bit more, and hopefully see them kind of make it to the end games. But yeah, they did have that higher ground. I saw that their mats were dwindling down. They recognized that. Cole jumps in a box. Unfortunately, gets 1 eliminations, but then gets knocked down, and Acorn can't get out of the store.
Yeah, they were very patient with their height take there and then willingly to give it up once it started to be dominated over. So I really like that out of Acorn and Cold. And I mean, obviously, it's Acorn and Cold. They're going to perform so well today. And this is a great start to the competition.
Yeah, another duo we mentioned at the start of the show, Victor V and Paper, right? A duo we want to see end in that top 10 placement, or at least claim one of these top 10s going to the global championships as well.
Peterbot
Currently sitting in 11th place after just the first game. Again, we're just trying to build momentum, right? We're trying to build a plan. Again, remind yourselves that the cactus change went in not that long ago. So we're still seeing kind of everyone adapt to not only that, but then the meta within the meta, Vivid, of the competition itself, how everyone's kind of doing and adapting moment to moment, game to game. And I mean, I just want to see these guys soar, man. That's all I want.
I mean, they were in such a good position. I was wondering actually what happened. It looks like the lobby spray kind of just came in, caught them both off guard. They had so many good materials. They were above so high on the Storm Surge. And then, yeah, that spray comes in. They take so much damage.
Yeah,
unfortunate, but still picked up a couple of points.
Yeah, and they actually, you know, did exactly what you said they were going to do. Vivid, Victor V, and Paper making a great rotation with those flame loops, and it helped them out a little bit, but obviously in game, not exactly what they wanted to see there. But they still have 5 more games today and 6 more games tomorrow.
Yep, and don't forget, 1.5 times multiplier tomorrow. But that's a tomorrow thing. Right now, we focus back in. Game number 2 is ready for us. So everyone hop on the battle bus. Let's run it.
Let's run it.
Thank you, Zeke. And yeah, you know, something really surprising about that top 10 to me is that there are names on there that were a part of all of our buildup in the coming weeks that had a short performance, right? Just that game number 1. So I do expect that top 10 and change, Taco.
Yeah, but I mean, I think when it's only lobby 1 of 6 on the day, MDF, and then factoring in that 1.5 times pull multiplier for day 2, I'm definitely expecting some pretty big switch ups. And you never know, even as we approach the halfway point later on today, I think it's so good.
You know how I got laser. You know how I got good.
Developing and adapting new methods for success throughout the course of things. So I want to see what happens here in game 2.
Excellent job so far. Game number 2 is going to kick off here for the grand finals of the North American region. Coming out of game 1, I really want to emphasize that we have still yet to see, right? Kanata Cooper pop off. We're gonna see Miro and Pink, right, find their stride. We're gonna see all these other teams that we know that are absolutely capable of being juggernauts in the final days, in the final coming moments, still make an appearance here, right? Tace and Iamzo. There are so many teams that are yet to show their true capabilities. That is kind of what excites me about this entire event, because we're just starting. So the adjustments are going to happen. The day 2 performances are going to be the most critical, because that is where the points really start to ramp up. But you got to create a strong foundation first, and failing to pursue big points in one game, Taco, can definitely be detrimental to you.
Yeah, and right now, Cirque, he's got plenty of weapons, but his duo has been knocked. It looks as though Death and Edgy were able to get that 1-for-1 trade, but Edgy's actually been full eliminated. And keep in mind, we also saw Astray, Vorteca, and Paco just off a little bit further in the distance. So if this doesn't wrap up quickly, it could be Vorteca and Paco prospering at the end of it. Death has managed to find an opportunity, though, to get some shield. But now Vorteca instantly pushing, not going to allow for that pickup onto Havoc from Cirque. But at the same time, still a 1 versus 2 situation if you are Death. And Death, he might have actually had an opportunity to snag Edgy's reboot card and then immediately disengage. It looks like he's created a little bit of space, but at the same time, pushed out from the drop before getting a real opportunity to loot it out as thoroughly as he would have liked.
And just really quickly, the pickup went through, so no elimination credit for Death there.
Yeah.
Straight sniped by Paco and Vorteca, but Tony and Noisy, this is a repeat, I'd say, overall performance here at the drop, as Crazy and Oliver OG have tended to have the, I'd say, the best record of defending this outskirts location here. I can't speak too much for game number 1, as we didn't see Oliver OG and Craze make it too far. However, this is going to be the story of the weekend, I think, for Craze, Oliver OG, and Tony, of course, is that there's going to be a lot going on here.
Go to my community tab
I'm out of that first game,
on my YouTube channel, and then you click the invite.
Was the team that actually won, so this is a big change of events for him.
Well, not only that, you almost have to feel a bit, though, for Oliver OG and Craze. It's nice to see them with those 2 eliminations. Shows that at least the beginning, they were able to pop off in comparison to what may have gone a little bit south in last lobby in that hand cannon.
He's not your cousin,
shot
bro.
there
Put that
from
on
Oliver,
bro.
but he's been contested pretty heavily at that drop there on the breezy coast, and it's surprising too because it's an outskirts position on the map, right, far northeast. So you don't really anticipate to be so much attention sort of fixated towards that spot, but for some teams, it's just their priority.
Oh, let's see what Tony's got right here. Ooh, big tags come in. Steps up when it matters, though, finding his shotgun tags. And this is onto Vert's duo. This is at the Mount Olympus, fully contested here, getting themselves 2 eliminations. This is now back-to-back successful wins for them on the drop.
Chad,
meanwhile,
that's him right there.
That have really
Chad,
had
do you
a
guys
tough
believe
time
that's
with
his
drop spots.
cousin?
Mixon and Blaha back-to-back now here. I mean, we saw what happened before. They touched down. Phenom and Ziggy beat them to the punch, got the weapons first, took them out immediately. This
you guys
go around,
believe him, chat?
not as fast as the last one, as Blaha and Mixon at least get to get a little playtime going here, but I mean, it's just a matter of minutes, right?
That's certainly what it's feeling like. Phenom, though, a little bit of pressure from Baha, but unfortunately, the numbers are just stacked against him. His HP practically at nothing left. Phenom and Ziggy just look for that split angle approach, and sure enough, it was inevitable for Blaha to escape there in that one. MDF, it would have taken a massive, I think, slip up from Ziggy or Phenom for them to lose that exchange. And
I think we all know
Traction's
that
also picking up elsewhere. Mount Olympus, keep in mind, we saw Kylie also get eliminated earlier on, but Z-Link and Antonio, the question is, were they able to essentially recover some of the HP they've lost? But they managed to hold their own, push back Paper and Victor V, at least for a moment. That could be very valuable time in order to recover the HP, and it seems like they feel even more confident to possibly even just keep taking shots from a distance. Victor and Paper pausing for a moment, but I like this idea, though, from Victor V and Paper. I like the fact that they're trying to get aggressive early on, because I think that a lot of teams have sort of recognized the fact that without those surge cacti on the map, it is a lot easier to establish a surge threshold earlier on, or at least as easy as it's going to be in any grand set lobby, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you as far as trying to find surge early on is going to be super important. I'm trying to be conscious of the fact that they also might be just rotating to what will be the eventual congested side. Like, the teams come in from the south, right, from the southern areas, because they're kind of sweeping around that zone threshold there. But looking at Bugha and Aviv's points just looks, I mean, it doesn't even feel right. Triple digits after game number 1 is just ridiculous. I don't know if we even have stats to show us, like, has Bugha and Aviv, has Bugha in the past ever had such a strong start? Because that is about as good of a start as I think we've ever seen a team kind of kick off the game 1, especially someone as, again, tenured as Bugha there. But back to Buzz and Epic Whale, they have really found their stride with the recent changes, and maybe it's because of this. Everyone knows that Muzz in particular has some of the best aim, and he's one of the fastest, right, when it comes down to the mechanics side of it. Take our focus back to the old solo All-Stars days. I mean, there was a reason he was the All-Star of that event.
Yeah, I mean, Muzz has been very vocal, at least in Aussie Antics chat especially, about how much he's enjoying seeing these surge cacti changes overnight. Same case scenario there for Epic Whale, but they had a pretty successful lobby 1, and I kind of want to readdress what you were thinking about Bugha. And that last lobby was actually his first victory royale in an FNCS finals for this chapter, specifically in chapter 5. So yeah, Bugha is definitely a player that you kind of expect consistency from, and I think especially paired with Aviv, that duo has had a lot of really high moments throughout their pairing and through this season specifically. But I think that surge cacti change, a lot of people, or at least as far as public perception is concerned, you're looking more towards Redline Rig because you expect it. Okay, well, now that Mythic Combat Assault Rifle, but more specifically, that Machinist
where's
medallion,
Peter?
that's got to be the focal point of this season now, because it is just such a strong medallion in comparison to what the other two offer, especially in the hands of Peterbot and Pollo.
Okay, Sigma 3X.
Let's get a little temperature change for a second right now. Flo and Sigma found themselves in a little bit of a fight. They're going to actually pursue the solo.
Peterbot's not dead, bro.
Escape right now and leave the duo behind. Oh, but look at this. Not even deciding to chase recklessly, making sure that they are well equipped and well prepared. And this is perfect that their timing just works out fast enough that they're able to utilize those.
You guys cannot con your own team member, bro.
And this is
dude, Laser, stop hating on Peterbot.
He did not do a good job of hiding at all by any means. So Flo and Sigma should be able to finish this one up here.
The only reason I'm good is because
out.
of Peterbot.
Yep, they're trying to get right in that box to tag before the wall goes down. And just like that, they come up on their first elimination.
He taught me so much.
Refresh is going to be very much welcomed here.
From his gameplay.
And look, the duo that was hot on their heels, switching up their rotate here, not looking to, you know, white line their way directly into Flo and company. We're going to mix it up.
Clicks and
Vino
Vino.
and Clicks, no strangers. Again, to playing the Sandy Steps area.
He's
this is
cheating.
Literal
Okay, so now you think he's cheating.
Continuing the strat here. This time, though, see the walls are down because Vino doesn't trust anyone to be potentially, right, hiding out in these tunnel ways.
Yeah, Peterbot is better than all of us combined.
Can't blame him, especially when you factor in that one of the duos closest to him currently, Ian and DKV, these two were essentially poaching upon Veno and Clicks throughout semis, just really following Veno and Clicks around the map, essentially heckling them pretty heavily even, and it did have, I think, a little bit of an impact on Veno and Clicks' overall performance when that was occurring. And now one more time they find themselves caught up for a moment, but that could be a very open-ended match that Veno is more than welcome to take on, especially knowing that it could be a huge opportunity for just their overall surge damage threshold. Mongrel and Mr. Savage, though, this is a duo that has really been, I think, shaking things up pretty heavily in the NAC. And I know that when they initially made the move, they were one of the last teams.
Yeah, Clicks will not win FNCS.
To even announce the fact that they had moved over to compete for Major 3 here in NA.
Peterbot will win. Wait, why aren't you going for your cousin?
With such a strong
TSM? I thought Block was your cousin.
It's hard not to be excited for this team if they could just replicate.
Yeah, there's Peter.
Success
yes,
here
sir.
in the grand finals throughout today and tomorrow. We're looking
or not
at
Redline Vidal, but Redline AR.
And for Mongrel, that would just be
Peter
massive.
doesn't even have a point
if
yet.
nothing else, they bring so much excitement to the broadcast.
He doesn't have a singular point.
To the entire competitive region.
Click sucks. He doesn't.
And you know, at the start of this game, I was rattling off names right that we just have yet to see. Peterbot and Pollo is in that conversation. Definitely Mongrel and Savage were missed in that conversation as well. But it just goes to show you how many notable greats exist already that have not quite found their stride just yet. But that was, again, only the first kickoff, right? If you can climb your way out of that one, kind of get your head back on the right side of the fence here, you'll be in good shape. But look at this, Jacko and Ponty, second place team coming into things.
Okay, Jacko.
Ready off the press. This one's onto Reet, onto Ritual. Already in the early game, slowing down what is the little bit of momentum that Reet was building up there, but Ritual seems like he might have slipped away and got the save onto Reet, so the run's not over just yet.
But at the same time, that's bound to put a little bit of a damper into their overall surge strategy, because now they're going to have to spend time recovering some of those
why doesn't he have
material,
any
much-needed resources.
FNCS?
Ritual's rocking a relatively strong loadout, especially since he has those 2 Nuka-Colas, but it's about what Reet can manage to finagle up as they look to press their way inwards towards that next edge of zone. And they might even opt to stick around a little bit longer here, maybe hoping that that duo that Ritual was just taking shots at actually crosses their path so that they can make up for some of the time they just lost there on that reboot.
Yeah, I think they're going to wipe that whole place clean of all the metal. There's no way you're going to give up that metal this early in the game when, you know, you're not going to find another spot like that. If anything, they're actually extremely lucky that spot wasn't like fully swiped clean But jumping over to Boyo and
Clicks will be all of us, but like he's just not the
What a
best.
tag from Boyo! Oh my gosh, big one.
What a tower!
You want that right there for sure.
Boyo.
Just the fact that the surge base is eye level with Rift.
Peterbot, my pookie bot.
You don't really see that too often. Granted, it is because of the fact that it's situated on the top of a hill just northeast of where Shipwreck Shallows, and that's currently what Rift Island is over right now.
Laser's really
Peterbot
good.
and Pollo, if they actually get a hold of the mythic hand cannon that's available here,
Let's
which
go, Jake.
I think has to be part of their intention to be up here in the first place, because you're looking at a duo that's, at least as far as Pollo is concerned, they're capped on their horde material. Sure, you can always clear things out for a little bit more of cap on your wood as well, but they're essentially gatekeeping the rest of Rift Island now from everybody else surrounding them. Rise and Agers as well, still fixated at the Shipwreck Shallows, and they're gonna have to be careful about how they actually choose to move, because normally you see
Laser's
teams
good.
pull towards the underside.
He's
of
my
that Rift
duo.
Island because they want to
Laser's
use
my
those
duo.
rifts for mid-game rotates, but that might be much more problematic now with Peterbot and Pollo there.
Find this
Yeah,
to be
Peter's
very
really
interesting.
good.
Cole finds a tag, but they want nothing to do with the teams that were able to see them just moments ago, and they go for the kind of sweeping rotate here through this build.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Z-Link, a bit of a standoff. Victor V, no paper. It does seem like Victor V and Paper might be seeing their first early lobby send-off here, but let's see what Victor V is made of. He is going to pop a little shield there. That's going to give him some confidence. Beautiful tag there. Can't count him out just yet. Both of these guys are just a single headshot away from also being down. So anything can still happen. Victor V has an opportunity here, but Antonio and Z-Link look to be positioned very well.
It is his
there
opinion,
it is.
though.
Beautiful angle for Z-Link. Finds himself the 4th elimination for this duel, and that's a lot of elims in the mid game there, Taco. I mean, what a big game for Antonio and Z-Link right now.
That is definitely a pretty aggressive playstyle that they've had to kick things off here in the second lobby. But I can't help but think that Victor V, he might have done just enough damage to kind of play a little bit of spoiler there towards Antonio and Z-Link, because clipping Antonio out of his shield entirely, that's going to be a moment where that duo is going to have to pause now, going to have to wait for him to heal up, whereas they could have initially been taking that opportunity to just rotate a little bit quicker. They're probably hoping for a more clean exchange on that elimination than what they were able to find. Still, at the very least, getting the point security off of that elimination credit is always going to be a nice feeling.
Feeling a little bit concerned right now for Reet and Ritual here. We already know that Reet was just rebooted. These run-out fights like this are going to surely work against them. They seem the ones to be pushing the case here, which I like that. I like that they're trying to take control of this, and there it is. That's the update. They know.
Yeah, Reet needs a refresh.
This fight was started for a reason. It's because they are very much below the surge here. Great tags are going to kind of sneak their way in, but they're going to need finishes here.
That's
yeah,
good.
and they know that they are essentially working
I don't know how to say your
against
name.
the clock
Yo, it's
as
good.
we speak. Reet and Ritual, they don't need this just for that surge damage either, MDF. I think that this is a very welcome refresh, especially in terms of material cap count, as Reet is actually going to find that first knock onto Raze. Now it's just a race to the finish here. He's trying to track down Curly, trying to secure yet another massive pump shot, but instead, pressure from the side. Reet never had a chance to even see it coming, but that last tag did put them just above that surge damage threshold. But now, look at the shots from the sides. The rest of the lobby has taken note of this exchange, and they want their own piece of it.
But look, Curly sniped most of the loot and ran off with it. Now, Reet luckily does find the big shields from that, but Curly took all the mats.
That just hurt. It hurts to even watch. It hurts to look at, because all of their hard work, and now to just come up short like that, and yet they have so much distance to cross as well, and they know we've already got teams still staring us down, whereas Curly, he's at least managed to push a little bit further north, slightly better position, might even be able to just squeak his way into one of those rifts surrounding, but I just don't expect it. Actually, no, excuse me, Curly, he's gonna have no other option but to try and go for that launch pad.
Yeah, he was actually just looking to put a little sabotage in there, upset, I think, at the fact that he was You know, of course, targeted and lost his teammate there. Tries to give him a little payback on the way out. But yeah, look, you can add up Re and Ritual's material counts, and Curly still had more. So yeah, pretty tough loss. You know, it's yeah, it's part of the game though, right? Like that's gonna happen.
No, I'm not gonna 1v1 right now.
2v1, there's no excuse. So Chubbs and Skittles though, showing us how it's done. Jumps right into the broken builds there.
I just can't believe how fast things have felt as far as the pacing so far here today, MDF. I mean, I know watching EU, I mean, we knew that the mid-game action was going to be popping off over across the pond here in NA, but it really doesn't feel like we are halfway through this lobby at this point. And Chubbs and Skittles, the fact that they are 81 below despite having 3 eliminations,
I'm not playing right now.
these surge damage thresholds, you would have expected them to be a little bit lower in comparison to what we've seen in the past with the removal of that surge cacti regeneration feature, but instead, things have actually been slightly crossing the thresholds that we've been seeing in the past.
Yeah, that is a wild thing to think about, that we're in grand finals settings and the average number of exchanges and the damage basically is just way higher. So what does that tell us? More people are likely using their full inventories, right? Going through the shields, going through the heals, and these fights are probably ending as well. There's a lot of teams,
Chubbs,
even in this
below surge,
this game right here, that are looking like they are in really, really bad shape. Chubbs and Skittles obviously being one of the ones on camera. We just came out of, Re and Ritual's perspective, and you can see them there, a little glimpse in the distance that they're not looking good at all right now, even if they have the damage that they need. And the feed is lighting up. I saw Mongrel fall. I saw Mr. Savage fall already. Like, there are teams that we expect to do very well that are having a really, really tough time right now. And talk about Re and Ritual. Re is down right now, getting pushed by Antonio and company, and that's no good. They're done.
Yeah, and I mean, even when we look at Chubbs' last situation, he used every single one of his heals just to survive those Storm Surge ticks. So his next rotate essentially into the heat of battle with all these other teams surrounding. I just don't see that boding super well for him. Vorteca and Paco, meanwhile, they've at least got 4 eliminations to work with. But again, another team just barely managing to stay above that damage threshold, but more importantly still, kind of getting held by the lobby right now. They've got to be really careful.
What if Booga
right
gets back-to-back wins?
It's Booga and Aviv, and these two are lined up, and it's such an ideal height position. They're able to try and control the flow of how the lobby actually rotates around them.
And you can see that just game number 1 that concluded was Booga's first time ever starting an FNCS off with a win. And they haven't done much this game already, but the fact that they're here, the fact that they are alive, that's all they need, because placement points are right around the corner now. They do have to survive this very treacherous coming minute, which is basically the battle against the Surge to find damage here shortly, because they are the team holding that threshold right now, just barely above it. Meanwhile, more pressure coming in from other teams in the vicinity here, but they're going to be one of the last to rotate due to it.
Funny though, from Baka and Pars just shooting out Booga's floor, forcing him to drop a little bit of builds. But again, Blueberry Fizz, Crash Pad, that's about as easy of a rotate as you could hope for. And Booga even going to opt to take advantage of some of this River of Styx water surrounding restored reels. He's got those underworld dashes, but so does everybody else in this lobby. Expect some really aggressive takes, some really aggressive box fights as well from Peterbot and Pollo. This is a duo. Keep in mind, everyone kind of commending Peterbot for his ability to utilize these underworld dashes so efficiently whenever he's challenging players inside of their boxes for fights.
Oh yeah, it's gonna feel like last season for him for sure. At this point, that's right where he wants to be. But tags are coming in. Peterbot and Pollo actually set themselves up pretty decently here as far as material is concerned. I'm not seeing a lot of heals to work with. However, they're in the end game where they do tend to perform best. Now, one thing we are noticing, given that this end game is kind of end on the river right now, it's got a lot of teams down on the low ground. A lot of teams that almost greedily wanted to, of course, pick up some of this underworld dash, you know, mobility here, right? Which opens up tons of tactics, but
you haven't played since Chapter 2 Season 1?
Is it going to work? We'll have to find out. A lot of teams are facing the troubles now for being down here. Peterbot and Pollo unfortunately could not secure any of those elimination points, but they should be able to get the mats, which is going to be huge here. Flowberry Fizz is what you want. Will he drop a weapon for it? We'll just have to find out when we tune in again later.
It's the fact that Peterbot was rocking the double mythics there. Goes to show just how much trust Pollo has in his duo. Yapko nearly gets a piece, but player's going to be able to escape Quanti in a slightly separate layer, but it's only a matter of seconds before Yapko is reunited with his duo. They've taken note of Ziggy's floor, though. They chopped him out momentarily. Ziggy takes some massive damage, but he's not going to get fully pressured out just yet. Still trying to buy a little bit of time, but you could tell Yapko and Quanti, they don't want to let him escape.
Look at this high ground right now. Clix and Vino.
Peterbot die?
This is a very, very dominant position to be in. Not only that, they have a lot of mats to hold this down. Heavy material to really secure this high ground right now. This is a really, really well-timed take for height. Meanwhile, Peterbot has lost Pollo. He's down here, just destroying players in the low ground right now. Top 17. Can he make it to the top 10? We'll just have to find out. Notable names alive right now. Muzz still up. Acorn and Cold still in this game. Baka once again. Quanti in this end game as well. Bugha is still here. These are many of the teams that were inside the top 10 coming out of game 1. Kanata has made it to the end game as well. There are exactly who we expect showing up right now. In position now. Bugha has the low ground. Peterbot has the mid. And Clix and Vino have the high ground.
See, you say that, but I'm looking at Kanatas and Cooper. They are kind of just standing their ground in the low. They might even be able to go hold Yapko and Quanti. They've also got to deal with Acorn just ahead of them. Bugha still trying to punch his way up through towards height. Instead gets knocked for it. Clix and Veno not willing to let that happen. Too much pressure coming from every single direction. And Peterbot actually going to be the one to play real spoiler alert there for Bugha and Aviv.
Yeah, actually be the one to finish off Bugha there here in the end game. Meanwhile, the high ground starts to get contested against. It's Kanata and Cooper, but Clix doesn't miss a beat or a tag there, and he sends both of them running here while Vino was just trying to figure out what all was going on there. But Peterbot, we asked if he can make it to top 10. Of course he can, and he is still going here, racking up points, showing us exactly why he is an FNCS champion and the reigning one at that. Here on the North American region, this is definitely his house right now. He's not giving up just yet.
Not only that, but he's still got a hold of that machinist medallion. Gets dropped low one more time, just trying to crash pad his way to safety, but it's not going to be enough. Pars and Baka, though, they've successfully overthrown Height. Clix and Veno, the moment that they swapped, they wanted to try and catch up with the rest of the pack. They find themselves more towards the front side of zone. Clix just tarping through these uncontested layers momentarily, though, and Veno looks like he was at least able to scrap together some pieces, but no, instantly dropped. Baka has come into the mix from out of nowhere. That drop from above, Veno just never had a chance to see it coming.
Yeah, and Kanata landing his tag too from the low ground, but Agers gonna finish off Kanata. And Agers is playing such good Fortnite right now. Not only did he clutch up last game to pull in the points, but he did well this game, and now Baka and Pars get to secure themselves their first victory royale of the weekend there. And in strong fashion after taking high ground back from Clix and Vino. What a game for them. 6 eliminations as well, Taco. That is exactly how you want to start your FNCS.
Yeah, and it just looked like it was going to be such a promising finish there as well for Clix and Veno, but Pars and Baka, those crash pads plus the Flowberry Fizz, we knew they were going to be a problem as far as maintaining height control is concerned. I also think it was partially just the fact that Clix and Veno, they wanted to try and control more towards that mid-ground section. They needed a material refresh at that point, but Baka and Pars just managing to get the job done. That is a massive victory royale for them to find in this secondary lobby, MDF, but we'll let the analyst desk break it all down when we get back right after this short break.
Welcome back, everybody. Game number 2. Whoa, was absolutely crazy. This one goes on over to Baka and Pars, who somehow, some way, stole high ground away from Veno and Clix in this situation. There was pop-out performances from so many duos, but we want to give credit where credit is due. Baka and Pars get themselves the victory out in game number 2. I mean, what happened, guys? What led to this success?
Wow, what an incredible high ground take. I'm not gonna lie, I had so many question marks. I was like, wait, Clix and Veno looked like they were so established on the high ground, and then we blanked Baka and Pars on height. Flowberry Fizz Effect floating through the sky, and because of the zone that we're actually at, had those dashes available from the river sticks. Use it to dash up on the higher ground. Incredible take.
That was absolutely incredible. So smart to use their environment to their advantage there. Baka and Pars grabbing the second victory royale of the day. I mean, a lot of us, you know, Baka and Pars is an incredible duo. They actually did really well in the recent scrims, but I don't think we were expecting a win this soon out of them.
Yeah, they just decided we're going to take height. It's good. We're going to do this. And yeah, the victory royale, again, we're trying to build momentum, right? We got 12 games to go here and to pick up via VR in game number 2. You know, they feel so good right now. But it's not just them that had really crazy performances, right? I want to turn attention to Veno and Clix here for a moment. They had the high ground, right? And things were looking good. And the fact that for like a moment, they even got challenged by Kanata and Cooper. Yeah. And they actually pushed them off. You know, one thing leads to another. They have to drop down. I mean, it was a wild game, Vivid.
Yeah, incredible defense there. I was like, wow, this looks like it could be a potential higher ground retake for Kanata, Cooper, and then even Baka and Pars was kind of involved into the fight. But no, Veno and Clix both came out of that. They still had the materials to kind of stay up on the higher ground, which is, again, why I was so confused. I was like, how did Baka and Pars end up above them? But yeah, losing it there just comes down to such a unique situation. Like, you can scrim so many times, and unless this exact scenario kind of happens where you have to kind of think about players that could potentially have those dashes just because of where you're at on the map, so hard to kind of predict that. Nonetheless, a very good game for the duo.
Yeah, Veno and Clix showing up strong right now. As we can see in this little spotlight, I think they're currently sitting in 4th place right now with 114 points. That is what everyone wants to see. We know how big Clix and Veno are. Clix with what, 60,000 viewers right now on Twitch? It is absolutely insane.
Yeah, what a wild time. Let's take it to the standings. Let's see what we can glean from just 2 games of the FNCS. Please a reminder, 4 more to go on the day. Bugha and Aviv still holding down that number 1 spot, but look who's just right behind them. It's Yapko, it's Quanti. Guys, this top 5 is already starting to try and pull away, and I think that's kind of what needs to happen, right, Vivid? Especially with that 1.5 times multiplier tomorrow. You just have to slam the leaderboards day 1 with just enough of a bump, like a buffer, to hope that no one else can catch up.
Very hard to fend off the type of players and the type of teams that we kind of have this season, right? That's why everybody's kind of been talking up this season specifically. I mean, every single end game that we've watched so far, it's only been 2 of them, but they have been absolutely stacked. So definitely going to be hard to defend. But speaking of defending right now, Bugha and Aviv managed to actually defend that 1st place spot on the leaderboard just barely by only 3 points. And got to give a big shout out to Aviv, right? That solo clutch. I feel like game number 2, Kelly, was actually all about the solo clutches almost.
It really was. And Aviv, actually, if I'm not mistaken, around zone 3 was taken down by Epic Whale. So to get the revive and then the solo clutch, you know that Bugha and Aviv are feeling good right now. But there's only a 3-point difference between Bugha and Aviv, and Yapko and Quanti, another team that we did not give the proper respect to earlier on this in the show open. But I love to see this. It is an international competition if I've ever seen one in this top 10.
Yeah, there's a couple of clutches, like solo clutches, that happened in this game too. Wanted to call it first off Peterbot and Pollo. Peterbot kind of put in that situation where he's like, bro, I basically have like nothing, right? And think, looking at 19th place, they've jumped up 30 placements off of that clutch, which is nuts. I mean, I don't even know how you keep calm in this situation, but like, there's just no way that anyone else could pull off something this insane.
Yeah, pretty slow start for the duo, I'm not gonna lie, but Peterbot kind of reeling it back into, you know, picking up a little bit of momentum. You got to imagine that, one, Peterbot's got to be feeling great after solo clutching, and then Pollo also, like, the vibes have to be so up right now after that performance, which could be what they need to kind of get back into the conversation of that, you know, top half of the leaderboard, top 10 of the leaderboard. Because right now, I'm not gonna lie, 19 a little disappointing, especially with so many people kind of predicting that Peterbot and Pollo are here to kind of win and dominate this FNCS. Slow start.
Well, they definitely had a good domination at the start of the competition. They were able to claim Rift Island all on their own. And then, of course, we're talking about solo clutches. Well, Peterbot was primed with 2 mythics and a legendary weapon there, as well as crash pads and some heals. If anyone needs to be put into a solo situation, that is exactly the loadout that you want to have. But quickly looking at our second page for our players here, and obviously some big names. The magic number that we're looking at right now, though, is around top 10. But, of course, you could even see right here we have some previous champions, so we're looking to expect it to be around top 14 depending on who is in the top 10.
Yeah, a super quick call out there. Agers as well, another solo clutch, right? Ending second in that game, taking the fight to Kanata, his old duo mate. Man, game number 1 or 2 was absolutely explosive, but now we have to prepare. Game number 3 is ready for us. We want to keep talking, but we also want to see more action. So MDF Taco, back over to you.
Thank you guys so much for all that update there, and of course the breakdown of what's unfolding here. I mean, Taco, those were 2 very quick games. I mean, I can't believe we're already jumping into game 3 of 12 here for the weekend, but I mean, we're having fun, so time's flying.
Yeah, it's definitely a significant difference as far as the action that we are witnessing throughout the course of the mid-game. But this is around the point where, you know, kind of touched on it earlier on, where I think players are really going to start to sort of smooth out those surge strategies. We have seen a couple of teams that maybe wouldn't initially expect to struggle with it, kind of get closer and closer at closing the gap for that threshold, finding themselves just below. Maybe this is the lobby that they can get just ahead of where they need to be, but it's not going to be easy by any means, MDF. It's the halfway point, at least as far as today is concerned, but there is still 6 more matches in case day 1 doesn't work out in a team's favor for today. But I'm ready to see what happens in lobby 3.
Grand Finals game number 3 is here, and you're right. I mean, we're about a quarter of this competition way through, given that it is a 2-day format. Tomorrow, there's a multiplier on top of your games. So if there's a day you want to play really well, it's really tomorrow. However, you need today to go somewhat in your favor in order to beat the End Grand Finals champion here of North America. Let's see it, though. As we start to jump in and start, you know, aiming our, you know, vision or our prospects towards the finales here, who do you think so far has been the standout duo amongst the bunch? Because I feel like we're already kind of seeing, right? Like some teams just take a lead, if you will.
Oh, it hurts just a little bit watching Blaha one more time. I mean, the off-spawn issue for Blaha and Mixon is so apparent right now, MDF. And I want to gas up Yapko and Quanti in a moment here, but I gotta see, can Mixon scrape up something from this situation? They need to start getting some points going now, because the longer it takes, MDF, even with that point multiplier in effect for tomorrow, you have to remember it's in effect for everybody, not just Blaha and Mixon, and they might find themselves in a situation where they're not going to be able to play catch up.
Back.
That's so messed up.
Yeah, that was tragic.
He landed.
What's good?
He hopped off the ledge there and took himself out.
You know,
I think what's more likely to happen, Blaha and Mixon just need to stop landing there. We know they have, let's be honest, probably 4 or 5 other drops up the sleeve. Yeah, put this one away. Retire this.
Hey,
this one.
he got the reboot card. That's nice, but I don't know if Ziggy's gonna let him actually escape with it. Mixon, he is sprinting to try and escape. Will he catch it? No, he might make it to the launch pad in time. And he could potentially be out of there. Ziggy only has 1 shot left in his assault rifle, but he's gonna give chase. And
all right, I'm gonna end stream. I'm done watching FNCS Grand Finals.
If Ziggy full chase.
See you later, chat.